Hello everyone, this is my presentation on the morphology of Peaky. So a brief reintroduction, Peaky is an English Creole language with English and Spanish influence spoken on the island of Bioko in Equatorial New Guinea, which is pictured above. So the most important thing to remember about the morphology of Peaky is that it is mostly analytic and paraphrastic because of its root in English. So it is very similar to how English morphology works. So for us, it's going to be relatively straightforward as English speakers. So a little bit of why and how Peaky is analytic and paraphrastic. Like I mentioned earlier, its origin language is English, so it does follow that Peaky would be relatively analytic and paraphrastic as well. It does have some inflection, but they are very rare and very specific instances that I will show later on in the presentation, and some inflection is due to the influence of Spanish in the language. So the nominal system of Peaky, here we'll find that common nouns are not going to be inflected for number, case, or gender, according to Jakpo, the author of the grammar, and they are mostly simplex, meaning that they are in of themselves mostly their own words, and we'll find a difference in this in the personal pronoun paradigms, in which number and case are going to be marked depending on their lexical classes, and they can be marked by a determiner or a quantifier, which I'll show on the next slide. In the nominal system of Peaky, definiteness and specificity are marked by the definite article D, the prenominal determiners and definite terminals one and some. We can see this over here in these examples. That is going to mark the definiteness of the sentence. So here we can see that D1, and life in the past was more enjoyable than that of today. That is a definite sentence based on the use of D and 1 within the noun system of Peaky. And then number is also marked by postponed pluralizer den. We can see that over here, teen den. That's how we know that it's going to be pluralized. It translates to the things, teen den. Whenever den is going to be inserted, we know that it's going to be plural within Peaky. So in the verbal system of Peaky, we'll find that it is mostly characterized by the use of pre-verbal particles, which modify the verb for tense, aspect, and modality, which Jakpo refers to as TMA, and it has a core and non-core system, meaning it just changes based on the classes of the verbs, which we see over here is going to be stative, inchoative, stative, and dynamic. So in the aspect, it'll be marked by the imperfective marker de, which we can see over here, which gives a relative space of time within the sentence. And then tense, there's only one form of the past marker been, which has the focal function of a tense marker, which we can see over here and how that functions within the different classes. So over here we can see been over here, which would changes as you go through the different tenses, been, keen, go, and how that would be used within its own sentences. So there is some very slight inflection that can be found within Peaky. It's going to be in specific verbs based on Peaky's Spanish influence. So Spanish verbs are always going to be inserted into Peaky clauses in an invariant form of the third person of the Spanish present tense paradigm. So that's a lot of words, but we can see that over here. They do use certain Spanish verbs, but when they do, they are always going to be in the third person. So over here we see controla, which means control, or entiende, understand, and that's how it would be inserted, but it's not going to be very syntactic and more analytic of how that goes about. And then this is what I found the most important of the derivational processes of Peaky. So compounding and reduplication is present within nouns, verbs, and adjectives. And I posted some examples of how this might be used. So you can see here hala hala, and hala hala, that would be reproduction and compounding. And then over here as a noun, you can see that country chop is how that would be pronounced, is local food, and that's compounded. And then something to note that's interesting over here with reduplication is tone. So the tone changes from a low to high when reduplication is used, which is also part of the morphology of Peaky. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for listening.